OPPO's latest smartphone is yet another attempt at wooing the selfie generation. The F3 Plus is an upgrade to last year's F1 Plus and comes with dual cameras on the front now. I'm going to skip the entire discourse about the popularity of selfies and get right down to business. So, what's different in the dual cameras of the F3 Plus when it's compared to the V5 Plus? Well, the F3 Plus comes with a wide-angle secondary lens as compared to the V5 Plus, where the secondary lens is actually used to capture depth information, which creates a neat bokeh effect on the rear. Now, the F3 Plus is also tad bigger and has a better Snapdragon processor this time around when compared to its predecessor. Hi, I'm Ershad, and this is my in-depth review of the OPPO F3 Plus. Have you ever tried to capture a selfie and struggled to get all your friends in the same frame? Well, I can tell you that it has happened to me on more than just a couple of occasions. Don't worry though, OPPO has you covered. With the secondary 8 megapixel camera attached to a 120-degree wide-angle lens, you can fit your entire group of friends and maybe even more. While OPPO claims that the algorithm has been tuned to reduce image distortion, it is physically impossible to entirely eliminate distortion. You will notice that the edges show an evident lens distortion and there is some softness too. But the distortion is not as prominent as the LG V20's secondary wide-angle camera on the rear. That said, the 16 megapixel primary selfie camera can shoot better details and the white balance especially is more accurate. What this means is that you will have to sacrifice details and color fidelity if you choose to use the wide-angle lens. There is no dedicated flash, but there is a screen flash to glow up your face in inadequate lighting scenarios. A dedicated beauty mode is also available for folks who like their faces to look pretty. You can also use the secondary camera to shoot wide-angle videos in 1080p, which is pretty cool. OPPO uses a 16 megapixel Sony IMX398 sensor attached to a f/1.7 lens for the primary camera on the rear, which also has dual pixel autofocus technology. This is the same setup on the OnePlus 3T as well. Much like the OnePlus 3T, it can also shoot some good images, especially close-ups with great depth, thanks especially to the f/1.7 aperture. I managed to capture some really detailed close-ups of flowers with accurate color reproduction. The camera also focuses really quickly and accurately on most occasions. While the low-light performance is not exemplary, it is not bad at all. The software algorithm tends to favor details over noise control. I like this approach better than cameras which tend to do a watercolor effect. The phone can also shoot 4K video, and thanks to the presence of optical image stabilization, it is not shaky either. Very interestingly, there is a time-lapse mode for shooting video, but no dedicated slow motion mode. Odd omission, in today's times where even sub 15K smartphones provide it. Apart from the regular shooting modes, you get this mode called Ultra HD. This mode shoots 4 consecutive images and stitches them together to make a larger 50 megapixel image. The algorithm actually does a good job of cranking up the resolution without losing image details, which is impressive. Overall, the cameras on the OPPO F3 Plus are really impressive and they're definitely one of the best in class. Ever since Apple launched the iPhone 6, many smartphone brands have taken an inspiration from Apple's design to make their own smartphones, of course. Now, when a smartphone lands in our laps, I'm not really surprised when it ends up looking like the iPhone 6, which includes the OPPO F3 Plus as well. But it's not entirely similar either. Having said that, on a smartphone which costs only $30,000, when you get the spit and polish of an expensive flagship smartphone, it's not necessarily a bad thing that it does look like Apple's flagship. The OPPO F3 Plus is a large smartphone with a massive 6-inch display, and it looks very similar to the R9s Plus, a smartphone that was launched exclusively for the Chinese market last year. What I like about the phone is that despite being a 6-incher, the F3 Plus is actually pretty compact. I think this is the most ergonomic 6-inch smartphone yet. Mind you still cannot reach the top of the display with ease. The weight of 185 grams of the phone is also evenly distributed across the body. And let me warn you that the phone is pretty slippery. OPPO uses a 6-string antenna design on the rear, 3 strings at the bottom and 3 strings on top. The Samsung Galaxy C9 Pro used a similar pattern. Curiously, OPPO has decided to go with micro USB port and not USB Type-C. But I guess it has something to do with the VOOC fast charging technology. The fingerprint scanner is placed on the home button below the display, and it unlocks the phone incredibly fast. Also, the phone uses a hybrid SIM tray, which means that you will have to sacrifice one of the SIM slots in case you want to add a memory card. Coming to the display, the 6-inch panel offers a full HD resolution. OPPO has gone for an IPS LCD panel with Corning's latest Gorilla Glass 5 protection on top. Weirdly enough, unlike the character of IPS LCD panels, this one is extremely oversaturated with bleeding reds and bad contrast levels. In fact, the images captured by the camera on the phone looks oversaturated on the phone's display itself. But it looked neutral when I transferred it to a computer attached to a monitor with a balanced color temperature. However, the viewing angles and the sunlight legibility are good and I have no complaints there. The OPPO F3 Plus runs Android Marshmallow with its Color OS on top of it. It is 2017 and we are down 3 months, and I would have ideally expected a phone of this caliber to run Android Nougat out of the box. That said, you do get Google Assistant. Yes, Google Assistant is now available on older Android software, and the F3 Plus is the first phone we've seen running it. Google's AI-based voice assistant can be invoked by saying, "Okay Google," and you can ask her any queries that you want answered. It is the best AI-based assistant across smartphones and platforms yet. The OS itself is a regular Chinese OS fare with no dedicated app drawer, and all the apps are lined up on the home screen itself. There are some other frills as well, of course. For example, the lock screen uses a magazine layout to showcase predetermined wallpapers. Jump into the settings app and you will notice that there are a few screen gestures as well. When the screen is off, you can double tap on the screen to wake it, draw O to start the camera, or a V to start flashlight, and many more. A dedicated theme store is available for users who like to customize their phones to look different from the rest. Thankfully, OPPO doesn't bundle too many third-party apps. Apps like Amazon, Facebook, Instagram, and WPS Office are pre-installed, but they can be uninstalled as well. Internally, the phone comes with Qualcomm Snapdragon 653, 4GB of RAM, 64GB of storage, and an option to upgrade to 256GB of storage using a micro SD card. Now, the only phone that comes with similar specs is the Samsung Galaxy C9 Pro, which also comes with a Snapdragon 653 processor, but it comes with 6GB of RAM. Now, but the performance difference in day-to-day usage is barely negligible. I'd like to highlight one thing though. The memory management works weirdly on the phone. Apps that have a lock icon in the multitasking carousel cannot be closed without unlocking it first. I don't know how the software determines which apps are meant to be locked by default. Furthermore, during my testing period, the top rear part of the phone turned hot when I was downloading and updating a slew of apps from the Play Store at initial setup. This is something I experienced with the Galaxy C9 Pro as well, and therefore it would be safe to assume that it is a Snapdragon 653 issue. But I never faced any more heating issues, even when playing resource-intensive games on the phone. Talking about games, I played Gods of Rome, Asphalt 8 and Modern Combat 5 with consummate ease, and without any frame drops either. OPPO has also included something called Dirac HD Tech, which essentially enhances the performance of your earphones and gives it a better sound staging. During my testing though, I didn't notice any perceptible difference in sound quality when I paired it with my Shure SA215 reference earphones. In phone calls, I noticed that the sound from the earpiece was slightly muffled when compared to the Lenovo's or Motorola's or Samsung's. The OPPO F3 Plus has a large 4000 mAh battery, and this battery easily lasts you more than a day on regular usage. Also, thanks to VOOC charging technology, it charges really fast. I mean, it charges from 0 to 100 in less than an hour and a half, which is insanely fast. Remember that the VOOC charging technology is the same thing that is implemented on the OnePlus 3T as dash charging. All in all, the OPPO F3 Plus is not just a smartphone with great selfie cameras. It offers speedy performance, a near bezel-less design, good audio quality, and great rear cameras as well. However, I would have ideally liked for it to come with Android Nougat out of the box and not such an oversaturated display either. At its price point, it competes directly with the OnePlus 3T and the Samsung Galaxy C9 Pro, both really great smartphones. Buy the OnePlus 3T if you want raw performance and a more compact design, and buy the C9 Pro if you want brand value. But if I have to be entirely honest here, the OPPO F3 Plus actually goes toe-to-toe with both these smartphones, and it offers great performance too. You will not really go wrong if you actually pick up the OPPO F3 Plus. So I hope you liked our review of the OPPO F3 Plus. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Until next time, this is Ashad signing off. Adios.